If you were to make a list of the most famous battles of the Star Wars universe outside of the movies, the Battle of Bilbringi from the Thrawn trilogy and Legends would at least make the top 5, if not the top spot. This was the final battle of Thrawn's devastating campaign against the New Republic, and resulted in the death of the Chiss Grand Admiral at the hands of his Noghri bodyguard Rook, after the Noghri found out through Leia's work that the Empire had been involved in the poisoning of their world rather than trying to help them as the Empire had claimed. The battle itself is probably worth its own video, but today we're going to be talking about a secret weapon Thrawn had planned to use during the battle, but which didn't come into play for another 20 years at another Battle of Bilbringi during the Yuuzhan Vong War. Thrawn's war against the New Republic involved not just conventional ship-to-ship warfare, but also the development and use of many different weapons and tactics. Chiefly, Thrawn deployed a series of different technologies pulled from top-secret Imperial storehouses, often handling their shortcomings with the use of a clone Jedi Master, Jorah Sabayoth, who he formed an uneasy alliance with, along with some other Force-related stuff. Some of the most important and versatile of these lost technologies were cloaking devices. These cloaking devices that Thrawn used were powered by a material called hybridium, and were able to hide a ship from all visuals and sensors, but had a significant disadvantage that limited their usefulness. Namely, while they hid the user, they also cut the user off from being able to use their own sensors and communications, so it was double blind. Other types of cloaking, powered by Stygium crystals, lacked this weakness and had been used for things as small as the TIE Phantom before, up to the massive Terror, an Executor-class Super Star Destroyer. But by the time of Endor, this had all been spent and hybridium was the only remaining option. Thrawn creatively used these cloaking devices by having Jorah Sabayoth coordinate the crews both inside and outside of the cloak, making it seem like he was able to bypass planetary shields with hidden ship placements. So there'd be a ship above the planetary shield and a ship below the planetary shield, and Jorah Sabayoth, using the Force, would be able to coordinate the firing from the ship outside the shield. It would hit the shield, then the ship inside the shield would fire, making it look like the ship that was outside the shield had fired straight through, frightening a lot of planets into just surrendering to Thrawn. He also was able to deploy cloaked asteroids in the orbit of Coruscant to keep the New Republic trapped, having a mix of real cloaked asteroids and some faked asteroid ejections, making the New Republic think there were many more than he actually had. But he had further uses planned for the cloaking technology at Bilbringi. As with any major shipyard, Bilbringi had been protected by several Golan battle stations along with Thrawn's fleet. Golan battle stations were massive weapons platforms that came in the Golan 1, 2, or 3 variety at this point. The Golan Mark 1s had been around for many decades, including early parts of the Clone Wars. The Golan 2 was introduced slightly later on, and the Golan 3 under the Empire. But Thrawn had an additional weapon in place which he never had the opportunity to use. He'd equipped an additional Golan 2 battle station with a cloaking device, seemingly intending to spring it on the New Republic at some point during the battle. This isn't mentioned in the Thrawn trilogy, but it is instead a detail added later by the New Jedi Order series in the book The Final Prophecy, when the Golan becomes an important part of Wedge Antilles' assault to retake Bilbringi. Prior to the Yuuzhan Vong taking the shipyards, a crew of smugglers/pirates had been looking into rumors that an additional Golan had gone unaccounted for before the New Republic's attack against Thrawn at Bilbringi. They then all got jobs at the shipyards, and one of them was able to crack Imperial records, finding indications that such a station had been there and cloaked, and then left unaccounted for when Thrawn died, as he hadn't shared the information with his commanders. The pirates were then able to steal a device called a crystal grav field trap, which could reveal cloaked ships, and they were able to successfully find and board the station, where they hid during the Yuuzhan Vong's invasion. They'd planned to install a hyperdrive and then sell the Golan to the highest bidder, at a time when the Vong War left plenty of planets willing to pay for additional defenses like that. Instead, when communications sabotaged by the Yuuzhan Vong had turned the battle to retake Bilbringi against Wedge Antilles, some convincing from Leia, Han, and Jaina Solo led to the crew of the Golan 2 deciding it was best to help the New Republic in the battle against the Vong if they intended to survive. They'd originally kidnapped Jaina during the battle, intending to salvage parts from her and her squadron's X-Wings to complete the hyperdrive. Ultimately, the battle was lost, but the Golan was able to help clear out Yuuzhan Vong interdictor cruisers, allowing Wedge's forces to escape, though it did cost them the Golan. Aside from just being a really cool detail added much later, which kind of had some holes as Thrawn didn't really have a way to communicate with the Golan during Bilbringi, as Sabayoth was elsewhere, but whatever, I think it does tie into one of Thrawn's weaknesses pretty well. The Golan was lost because Thrawn didn't inform his command staff of what he was doing, something which happens a lot in the Thrawn trilogy. With Pellaeon, he rarely divulges any details that Pellaeon doesn't figure out for himself, and this is something that comes up a fair bit when you talk about weaknesses that Thrawn had. It also does seem like the kind of thing he would have done when he had this technology. Either way, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If so, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more, and if there's another topic you'd like to see me cover on the channel, please leave in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.